Peace, peace, peace. What's good, y'all? I look at my Instagram. I really have to, process the amount of, shit I gotta deal with every time I log into Instagram. I moved to LinkedIn because it's like the notifications are so toxic. Please explain this to me. How is it on one post? I'm defaming Andrew Tate. I don't like this guy. So I'm insulting Andrew Tate on one post. And now I'm all these negative things because I don't like Andrew Tate. This one woman has her thesis or dissertation wrapped up like it's a baby and like it's the hardest labor I've ever endured. And I'm like, what kind of fucking crazy bitch shit is this? I'm all types of things because I don't like this. And then there's this thing about this woman teaching her kids how to argue. That might seem very cute when your kids are like 2 or 3 or 4. That might seem cute. When your kids turn 12, or your kids turn 15, your kids turn 25, you've raised a fucking monster at that point in time. It just seems like no one has clear-cut convictions anymore on anything that they believe. It's like without any deeper sense of interpretation, without any deeper sense of investigation, it's like people jump to conclusions about what you believe. They'll jump to conclusions about what you think, but they don't have the capacity to take the time to really disseminate what's happening and what's going on. And if you attempt to go through that process with them of dissemination, of gaining better understanding, they get offended by it. Because they don't have a justification for the shit that they're doing and the way that they're acting or the way that they're coming across or the shit that they're saying. They're just assholes. And I think that's become its own political party in America. You have Democrats, you have Republicans, you have Libertarians, you have Green Party like myself, and then you have assholes. You have assholes that just disrupt the argument. You have assholes that create division. You have assholes that purposefully misunderstand what's going on. And you have assholes that either start arguments for no reason and get really puffy and get really big and they think that's doing something, or they get really mean, very cruel, and then the whole thing falls apart that way. But you can't find any solutions in this country because you're surrounded by assholes. You're surrounded by people that think that being an asshole is empowering. You're surrounded by people that think that being an asshole is going to make them more successful. You're surrounded by assholes and people emulating assholes. There aren't a lot of genuinely good people that you're going to run into. And when you do meet genuinely good people, you're meeting them after they've been dealing with the same world that you've been dealing with. So you're dealing with a ray of sunshine that's been beaten up and insulted and berated because it's not accepted as a ray of sunshine. They're judging it because it's not a dark cloud like them. It's like an ugly duckling story, quite honestly. And it's hard to really point a finger at it because if you attempted to point a finger at it, you're going to miss. You're going to look here and you're like, it's the liberals, it's the Democrats. It's not the liberals. It's like if you listen to what liberals are actually asking for and what they're actually saying, it's a lot of great stuff that can benefit the country. It's a lot of stuff that can benefit you. If you listen to what Republicans and conservatives are saying, it's a lot of great stuff that can benefit you. It's a lot of great stuff that can benefit the country. If you listen to the assholes that don't know anything, that didn't do any research, that didn't get any better understanding, that aren't capable of having a conversation or communicating properly, they're going to tell you anything to fit in. And they won't even know your position. They'll tell you anything to fit in. They'll tell you anything to sound intelligent. They'll tell you anything to add to the conversation. And it doesn't ultimately. Because if you really genuinely came in there with an ignorance, with a lack of understanding, and a humble ignorance, not a willful ignorance, not a belligerent ignorance, but a humble ignorance of, I don't know this. What is going on here? it's easy to get indoctrinated. If the first person you talk to is a conservative, you'll probably get indoctrinated into the conservative perspective. If the first person that you talk to is a liberal, you'll probably be indoctrinated to the liberal perspective. If that's your society, if that's your environment, if that's who you're surrounded by, those will probably be your results. But let me tell you what happens. When you run into an asshole that's pretending to believe in something, your entire perspective of this is completely destroyed because you're genuinely leaning upon this person's understanding. You are genuinely leaning upon this person's take and on their information. They don't have a take. They don't have information. They don't have accuracy. So the same process of indoctrination that would make you a liberal or that would make you conservative, now you're an asshole. And now you're spreading that asshole philosophy around like it's the Bible, like biblical truth. You're spreading it around like it's the Torah. You're spreading it around like it's the Quran. And it's none of those things. You're just a jerk. You're just a bit, like there's no other way to really define it. There's no other way to really package it and put it, because you're never getting a realistic perspective of what's going on when you're dealing with an asshole, because you're always getting some manipulated, perverse version of it. You're not getting the truth. You're not getting what actually happened. You're not getting anything that you can solve. You're not receiving anything of any benefit or any value, but they'll package it to you like they're telling you the gospel truth. They'll package it to you like they're really trying to help you and they're really trying to give you this panacea to save your life, but it's not a panacea. It's not helpful. It's destructive. And the longer that you act like an asshole, and the longer that you act like a bitch, you act like you're like, you have no rightful reason to feel like you're better than people, but you act like you're better than people. The longer that you act that way, it's going to devour your soul. And then you're going to reach a point in which you can't connect with people. You can't build relationships. You can't have a decent conversation with people because you've built so much of it upon ignorance. And again, not a humble ignorance, not a correctable ignorance of, I genuinely don't understand why this is happening, and I would like the truth as to why it's happening, and I will accept the truth if I'm given the truth. Oftentimes, these people walk into this situation with either a willful ignorance or a belligerent ignorance that they don't know what's going on. They don't have the humility to admit that they don't know what's going wrong. So it's like any type of interaction or engagement with this person is going to go south. It's going to go left. It's going to blow up in your face because they do not have any of the internal mechanisms necessary to be a human anymore. They're not human. They're American now. And this is the problem that's happened here, is that you have a country that's committed every crime against humanity that God has written for you to not do. And they built a culture around it. They built a culture around, I don't believe in God. I don't got to fucking follow the law. I don't got to do. These are the people that you're living around here, man. So it's like, if they really want to fit into this stuff and they really want to be like the current tide, they're going to be an asshole. They're not going to be a helpful person. It's not going to be productive. It's not going to be fruitful. It's like I started over all my social media to stop dealing with this stuff. I take these breaks from social media to stop dealing with this stuff. I'm advertising now to stop dealing with this stuff. But it's like the stuff is readily apparent because there's no truth anymore. It's like you look at social media, you look at the internet, it's like you're just being bombarded with random opinions, random perspectives, random quotes, a bunch of false information. And you're never getting to like a point in which any of this stuff is helpful. Because it's not. It's marketed as helpful. It's marketed as valuable. It's marketed as the truth. That does not make it the truth. It doesn't make it helpful. It doesn't make it reliable. It doesn't make it reality. You need to look at all the perspectives available to you to find truth. You can't just settle for one perspective. You need to really go through all your options to find the best solution, because otherwise you might just do some shit that doesn't work and then you quit because you had the wrong methodology. But once again, You weren't humble enough to admit you walked into this with the wrong method. You weren't humble enough to admit that you walked into this and you didn't have all the information. It's like you're basically walking around as if you're the only one that's right. Everyone else is wrong. And because of that, they don't deserve the best of you. Because of that, they don't deserve to interact with you. They don't deserve. And that's really, it's counterproductive to everything that has made humanity evolve to the point that we're in. We evolved because we're eusocial. Eusocial means that we work well in groups. We work well in collectives. We work well when everyone's on the same page, when everyone's working on a team, and everyone feels like they're a part of a team. You know? You don't work well as an individual because one person can't get a lot done. If you got 24 hours in your day, you can't do a lot but go to work, get some good rest, and then maybe you have 8 hours to yourself if you're not commuting and doing all this other stuff. If you got 2 people, that's 48 hours. You got 3 people, that's 72 hours. You get 7 people, that's 168 hours. And one single day, you can get a lot done if you got 168 hours in one day. And you multiply that by 7 again, that's a whole week. And now you can rest. That's like 2 months of work that you've gotten done in 1 week simply because you've learned how to work with and deal with other people. A lot of people are struggling in their lives and they're struggling in what they need to get done because, one, they can't admit that they don't know what they don't know. They can't admit that there's a limit to their intelligence and other people have the answers that they need. Other people have the resources that you need. Other people have the money that you need. Other people have the knowledge and the expertise that you need. You need to be able to have a relationship and a rapport with these people to leverage that. Because if not, you have to pay money for it. And this is really why you're surrounded by so many assholes, is that you're surrounded by people that don't understand how life really works. They don't know how life works. So they have to pay for everything. So they feel like they have to be rich. They feel like they got to work 100 hours a week. They feel like they got to do all this other shit because they don't fucking get. All you have to do is get along with other people. All you have to do is have a good rapport and a good reputation with other people. That is what life is about. Life is about your network. It's about your net worth that's driven through your net worth. And that's about people liking you. That's about being likable. That's about being able to work with other people, being able to express yourself, being able, and the most important quality in all this is being able to listen to people that disagree with you. Being able to listen to people that have completely different methodologies, completely different perspectives, and completely different way of doing things, because then you can improve how you're doing it, and they can improve what they're doing, because you're looking at each other, and like Squid Game when they're licking the freaking candy, no one wants to die, no one wants to lose, everyone wants to win. So if someone has a winning strategy, emulate that winning strategy. If someone has a losing strategy, avoid the losing strategy. But if the losing strategy is how they interact with people, if the losing strategy is they don't know what they're talking about, if the losing strategy is that they don't trust other people, so they have to hire other people. They have to do hours and hours and hours of research because when they talk to the expert, they didn't like the expert's opinion. So now they have to spend decades becoming an expert themselves because you already spent a decade doing it. They spent 0 time doing it and they don't want to trust your perspective. They don't want to trust your opinion. Now they have to do the work themselves. And that's why people that are on the solo path don't make it that far. That's why people that don't get along with others don't make it that far. Because it's like at the end of the day, you're surrounded by 8 billion other people on this planet. And no matter where you go, you're not going to get away from them. I'm an introvert, I don't really enjoy social interaction. I'm great at it. Great at talking to people. Great at expressing myself. High level of emotional maturity. And when you're at that level and you're dealing with people that aren't great communicators, the people that are not great communicators are sadly the people that think that they're amazing fucking communicators. They're not. It's a whole major. You're going to take years and years and years studying communication. And if you have not actively done that, you're probably a bad communicator. If you've never consciously sat yourself down and said, I need to work on my communication skills, and then you actually spent the time, effort, and work necessary to improve your communication skills, you're probably a terrible communicator. That might be the cause of your issues with other people. If less people hang out with you than usual, there's probably a reason for that, you know? Either you don't want to be a part of the group anymore, and that's very fine, or people don't want you there. You can do something about it, though. Instead, just like you get liberals in this specific situation, and then I'm done. I don't want to talk about this all night. I don't want to make a 30-minute video about this. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't got to be any of that, you know? But with this type of situation, what you're faced with then, because this isn't a political issue, it's like social politics. It's like the politics of your everyday life. It's like the politics of your work interactions, your familial interactions, your friend interactions. You know, these are political relationships as well, you know. But you're going to get, once again, and I'll explain this clearly to let it be and let it be all it is that you have people that have a willful ignorance. And what willful ignorance means, I'm using this from the term willful blindness, is that they have every single sign to know they are the problem, and they keep blaming other people. They have every sign to know that they're not as smart as they think they are, and then it's like they don't take that and then have more faith inside other people or realize that there's other experts. It's like they've met a limit to their own ignorance, and now they assume that everyone else is less intelligent because of that. Because they are not that bright and they're not that intelligent, they assume that you're not that bright and not that intelligent. And they assume the next person is not that bright and not that intelligent. And, you know, it's a very see-through, very hollow thing. But a lot of people forgive it. I personally don't deal with it. I don't deal with anything but humble ignorance. I don't deal with willful ignorance. I don't deal with someone who can look exactly at what the fuck's going on. And then either they still have to make a 3 a 10. You know, they got to take a 3 situation, and they have to make the 3 situation a 10 situation because they don't have the wisdom to realize that there's other ways to act, there's other ways to behave, there's other ways to go about this situation. They're stuck. So when someone's usually willfully ignorant, they're usually stagnant, they usually don't want to change, and they're usually really stuck in their ways. There's not really much you can do with that person. The issue, though, is that a lot of people, I'm not going to say most, a lot of people are belligerently ignorant. They are ignorant, they know that they're ignorant, and they do not want to correct their ignorance. They have already made their conclusions about the world. They have already made their conclusions about you. They've already made their conclusions about what they think about things. And it's not just a matter of like willfully, at least someone who's willfully ignorant will usually play people pleaser, and they'll just kind of like adapt to the situation as it goes by. Someone who's humbly ignorant really doesn't have a standpoint. They're pretty chill about it. And, you know, they just kind of go with the flow, but not in a way that they're really changing their mind. They're just gathering data and gathering information, because the person who's humbly ignorant is usually a scientist. The person who's humbly ignorant is usually a student of life. The person who's belligerently ignorant is usually a narcissist. It's usually a sociopath who's attempting to use like the quote unquote truth to hurt other people. So it doesn't just become, I need this thing done. It becomes, you never do anything for me. I can't believe how you treat me. I can't believe, and a 3 has to be a 10. The 3 has to be a 10. The 2 has to be an 11. And the 1 has to be a 20. Because this person doesn't have any control over their internal world, because they've never even worked on the internal world. At least the person who's willfully ignorant has worked enough to the point. It's kind of like when you pick up a new skill, and you know, like when you try anything for the first time, you're fucking terrible at it. You're bad. But the person who's willfully ignorant has at least went to enough of a point where they could say, I kind of get it, but this isn't for me. You know, the person who's belligerently ignorant will blame the sport of basketball for being bad at basketball. They have no idea how they come across. They have no idea how they look. They don't even get along with themselves. They don't even get along with other people like them. In fact, if you put two of them in the same room together, they would probably burn down your house. You know, I'm very humble in my ignorance, is that I know that I don't know everything. I know that there's a limit to my expertise, but I know that as hard as I work at the things that I'm an expert at, I know that there's other people working just as hard to become an expert in other topics. So I can lean and I can rely upon that. Other people, it's like they have to pay top dollar to get help done because they have no trust. They have no trust in themselves. They have no trust in other people. They're just walking around in the American nightmare, And it's like you really don't have to be trapped in there with them. You just have to learn how to maneuver the social situations. You just really have to understand like human psychology and how to deal with people, because you don't have to have a negative time with someone who's willfully ignorant. You don't have to have a negative time with someone who's belligerently ignorant, but you have to identify them as such, so you know how to act accordingly. Someone who's willfully ignorant probably doesn't know how fucked up what they're doing is. They might know in the back of their mind, they might feel guilty about it, but they don't have any other way to act, and they're not really willing to learn any other way to act. They're willfully ignorant. It's like they want to be ignorant. They desire ignorance. Someone who's belligerently ignorant couldn't even tell you that they didn't know what they were talking about. They couldn't even admit that there's other perspectives. They can't admit that there's other way to do things. They can't admit that they're wrong. They can't say sorry. They can't apologize. They just come at you 1,000 miles per hour, And if someone is very, very humble in their ignorance, as in these people usually get along great with children until the children start developing a sense of right or wrong, until the children start developing feelings and ego, and they realize this person's really fucking mean for no reason. It's they delight in cruelty. They delight in being mean. They delight in saying the worst possible thing they can. They delight in hurting other people. They delight in hurting other people's feelings. They delight in being disrespectful. And honestly, all you can do in that sense is distance yourself. If it's really that bad, you have to distance yourself. If not, and you can identify that this is definitely the other person, and this person is crazy, essentially. It's like a belligerently ignorant person is probably just stupid. That's its own danger. A willfully ignorant person is crazy. And that's dangerous. So that's why I don't deal with either. Someone who's willfully ignorant has seen the truth and they decided not to do anything with it. Someone who's belligerently ignorant can't see the truth. They don't know what the truth is. They think they already got the truth. Watch out for the people who are willfully ignorant. Watch out for the people who have struggled with trusting. Watch out for the people who are purposely mean. Watch out for the people who are purposely antisocial, purposely cruel. Because one, this is my caveat. This is the extent of my empathy. This is the extent of my sympathy. Is that person might be battling something you know nothing about. They might be dealing with demons. They might be dealing with spiritual pressure. They might be dealing with the circumstance that you will never understand and you would never want to go through yourself. So the best way to deal with either of these people, the willfully ignorant or the belligerently ignorant, is to just be yourself. Be calm. Don't ask them too many questions because they don't have answers for you. Don't press them more on these subjects because they don't know any more about these subjects. Don't try to build a deeper relationship with them is essentially what I'm telling you. Keep it very surface. Keep it very polite. Keep it very cordial. Stay in a place with these people where you can use good manners, and don't let them bring you to their level. Because someone who's like willfully ignorant, belligerently ignorant, they think that they're right. They like this, and this is the basic part of this. This is what I'll explain, and this is the last thing I'm going to explain, and the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm done with this video. The biggest danger with these two people, and I think I said it already, but I'm just going to like emphasize this point so you understand why you need to distance yourself and why you need to keep the relationship very superficial and a place of politeness and a place of being in a man, is because you have to essentially teach these people how to act. They probably, if they turned out this way and it's really bad, they've probably never seen anybody do it. They've probably never seen someone do it genuinely. They've probably just never seen a genuinely good person in their life. And that has been their excuse for being an asshole. That has been their excuse for being a shitty person or being a bitch or being a bastard towards you, is because they've never seen a decent person before. It's like the person that's always in shitty relationships. I've never seen a healthy relationship before, so that's why I cheated on you. It's like your ignorance is not an excuse for your action. You know, what you know is not an excuse for what you act upon. You know, if you know better, do better. If you don't know better, don't do anything at all. Just leave it alone and walk away. You know, these people think that they're right. And the issue with these people is that they will spend more time either criticizing you or bashing you or hating you for doing the right thing and living your God-given purpose and acting as a decent human being. They're going to get more angry at you and spend more time trying to change you and trying to change your perspective and try to change your methodology and try to make you more like them than they will do to stop, look, and change, or stop and ask questions, or stop and gain a better understanding. They don't have it. They're not capable of it. They're not capable of it. They don't want, if they were capable of doing it, they wouldn't be so belligerently or willfully ignorant. So that's the ultimate danger, is that either you're going to fall into their trap of the change game. Oh, I can just change them. Well, if I just, you're gonna act like the greatest person on earth towards this person. You're going to give this person everything that they want. You're going to welcome them in. You're going to be cordial. You're going to be hospitable. And all along, you're not going to realize this person is just an asshole. And there's no amount of niceness that you can do for this person. They are just an asshole. You have to accept that eventually, because you're really going to sit there questioning, wow, I've done this for this person, and I've done this for this person, and I've done this for this person, you know, and I've said please, I said thank you, I've said excuse me, I've said, you've literally done everything for this person that a decent human being would do for a decent human being, and they're not reciprocating anything. That's when you need to realize that you're dealing with a willfully ignorant or a belligerently ignorant person who's incapable of changing. Once you step into that realm of being humble with your ignorance, you can have rich, deep relationships. You can have a deep connection with other people. You can express yourself freely, because the key to freedom of expression is you have to stop and yield when you're wrong. If you don't have the ability to yield when you're wrong, if you don't have the ability to admit when you're wrong, if you don't have the ability to apologize when you're wrong, people aren't going to listen to you. Because what you say is ultimately going to do it. What you say is ultimately going to have an effect, whether it's a positive effect, whether it's a negative effect. And you need to be able to take accountability for what you said. You need to be able to take accountability for what you did. You need to be able to apologize. And if you can't, those relationships are going to disappear right before your eyes. Don't waste your time with people that demand more than what's reasonable. Don't waste your time with people that are rude to you. Don't waste your time with people that are disrespectful. Don't waste your time with people that are cruel, people that are mean. because it's like they're just assholes, man. And they're not going to add anything to your life. It doesn't matter if they're related to you or not related to you. They're just assholes. And they're not going to, the asshole isn't going to magically become a vagina. It's not going to magically become a penis. It's not going to magically become a heart. It's not going to magically become a new spleen or a new appendix or a new kidney or a lung. It's going to be an asshole. And it's either a clean asshole or it's a dirty asshole. But all assholes stink. You don't need anything to do with it. And there are better things out there to do with your time. If you're into assholes, you're into assholes. And that's on you. I'm not into assholes. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening. I pray that the darkness in your life really passes. I pray that whatever the difficult people in your life are going through, and I know, I know that you feel like it would make more sense for me to pray for you and not pray for your enemies. But let me pray for your enemies real quick to help you in exchange. I sincerely pray that the opposition in your life, the enemies in your life, the difficult people in your life, the people that are giving you the most hardship, the people that are really stressing you out the most, I sincerely pray that these people figure out what is making them such an asshole, what is making them such a bitch, what is making them such a cunt, such a bastard, what is making them such a fucking pain in the ass to deal with. And I pray that God removes that thorn. I pray that God makes them easier to deal with. Or I pray that you gain the strength within yourself and you gain the courage within yourself, that you gain what it is that you need within yourself to stop dealing with these people entirely, because you're tolerating it. And the more that you tolerate it, it's enabling these people. The more that you try to be nice to them, it's enabling these people. You're teaching them to treat people poorly. You're teaching them to be disagreeable. You're teaching them to be difficult. So I pray that you gain the courage. I pray that you gain the knowledge. I pray that you gain the wisdom and you gain the strength to better handle these situations with difficult people. But more importantly, I pray that the difficult people, the evil people, the possessed people, the people that are maladapted to the actual human life that we're meant to live, not just the American bullshit, the actual life that God set us on earth to live. I pray that whatever fucking issues that this person is dealing with, or these people are dealing with, if it's more than one person, I pray that they seriously figure out what's wrong with them. I pray that they really have a resolution in their issues, because whatever they're going through personally, it's affecting you negatively. It's hurting you. You're not able to be yourself. You're not able to express yourself. You're not able to have the relationship that you would have wanted with this person. So I really pray that whatever blockage is going on in this person's life, I pray that it's lifted so that you're actually able to have a relationship with them. Or I pray that you have the courage. I pray that you have the wisdom. And I pray that you have the strength to leave this person the fuck alone, because they're not going to change. They're not capable of changing. Someone who is willfully ignorant has already seen what is wrong with themselves. They've already seen how they treat other people, and they already know that it's wrong. If they're still doing it, they want to treat people that way. That's insanity. Someone who's belligerently ignorant doesn't know how they treat people, and they're not open to learning how they treat people. They're not open to any other ideas. So you're not going to be able to educate them. You're not going to be able to teach these people anything, because once again, they think that they're right. They treat people poorly, and they treat people cruelly, and they treat people like assholes because they get away with it. They get away with it. You teach them to do that. You allow them to treat you that way. And they have no right to treat anybody that way. They have no right to put whatever negative issues that they have. That is their negative issue. That is their emotional baggage. That is their problem to deal with. No part of that should touch you. No part of what they are going through internally should have anything to do with you. No part of what they are dealing with negatively within their own life has anything to do with what you're doing with your life. Stay the fuck away from them. Keep as far of a distance as you can. Get a second job. Stay busy. I built a secluded area to myself to get away from this shit. Get away from them. Because the more that you attempt to try to change their mind, the more they're going to dislike you. The more that you show them and you live and you walk in the example of what you're supposed to be doing, you're not going to be corrupted by them, but they may not change, man. That's just it. And you can watch people for decades of their life, and they've had plenty of opportunities to look in the mirror and say, and join all of us in saying, you know what? I'm the blockage of my life. I'm the biggest problem of my life. Let me change myself. They've had plenty of opportunities to do that. They're not capable of doing it. They're going to keep blaming other people, bro. They're going to keep blaming the situation. They're going to keep blaming the circumstance. They are not capable of looking in the mirror and saying, I might be my biggest issue. But you got to go through that. Peace, family. Nothing but love.